Hey, you in the mood for some laughter? Well, we got your story for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's your buddies Butch and Rob, and Rob and Butch and Rob, here to talk about another short trek. That's right. We are picking up right where we left off with the Peter Pan picture book record combos. We've done 4, and this is our 5th episode. Episode 5, the appropriately titled To Starve a Fleaver. I'm eliciting laughs from Rob as I said. Yeah, that's how you know this is going to be a laughter episode. So let's talk about it, Rob. Yeah. First off, let me introduce my co-host, Lord Rob.
I've got this strange itch, and it's a little warm in here. I've got a Fleaver, and the only prescription, which that was the 15 longest minutes of my life. Yeah. That was a long 15 minutes. When you told me last week or whenever, well, that one was written by some Yahoo, but next week we're back to Alan Dean Foster. I was like, oh, good.
Well,
not so fast.
Well, I'm gonna say I was kind of not horribly horrified by this one, considering how it sort of started. So maybe we'll have differing opinions on it. I think
we're going to have differing opinions.
I think we agree on some of the things that bothered us about it. So yeah, we're once again back to Alan Dean Foster with To Starve a Fleaver. He took episode 4 off, and now he's back to episode 5. We're going to lose him again on one more episode. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 more episodes that are by somebody else. But here's what I'll say about him. The last story, and Spock's embrace of magic, made me think the benefit of Alan Dean Foster is he knows the characters well enough not to do stuff like that. And I think in this episode, the characters are relatively close enough to where they're supposed to be. So that I think it has going for it. I will say, where do authors come up with names like Marpalouans? Is that what these guys are? These aliens, this friendly race of Marpalouans? Come on, man. Put an apostrophe in there is what I'm saying. Am I right? Okay.
Yeah, I need some, what was the little pyramid thing in that one book?
Oh, good Lord.
That had some weird
there's been so many unpronounceable words.
Yeah. Is Fleaver a real word? Did it appear in this episode somewhere?
It did not. I guess the idea is it's like a reference to an old adage, starve a cold, feed a fever. Feed a cold, starve a fever, I guess is what it is. So They made a joke about that, because at the end of the day, how do they defeat this thing? They deny it the happy thoughts it wants. And
I got the starving part. I didn't get the Fleaver part. I knew it was a play on the word fever, but
because they're like fleas. Yeah, so these bugs, and they're called Meegees. If you're like me and you're like getting Saturday Night Fever vibes when I say Meegees. Because instead of being named after Barry Gibb, if they'd have been named after Morris Gibb, they'd have been the Meegees, is what I'm saying.
Well, the little critters were hard to kill, so I guess you'd say they were staying alive. Butch.
That's exactly right. So the mission in this episode is there's some friendly new race of aliens, they're Marpalouans, who asked to join the Federation as, and I quote, associate members. It's like were you an associate when you worked at Fred Meyer, or it's like that. That's what I would think of as associates. It's like, yes,
it's like how Oregon State and Washington State are sort of joining the Mountain West.
That's exactly right. We want to join, but can we just play 6 games against our Federation allies? That'd be great. We don't want to join full thing, and then we're not revenue sharing here. But anyway, so so they want to join, and so the Enterprise is dispatched to get the paper filled out in triplicate. They have the carbon copy in the back, so that when you sign it, you got another copy.
They may never have seen fuel consumption reports on this planet, so you send your best.
Yeah, that's exactly right. How else are they going to learn if they don't learn from Captain Clipboard himself? That's right. So normally this is where, and they meet our guest star of the episode is Counselor Nice. I'm trying to remember how I pronounce this. Hauserick, the guy, I just called him Counselor Nice is what I called him. So and he's I should point out that this is one of the episodes that does not have a full comic book adaptation that goes with it, but it has a single page. It has a cover that's the comic book artwork for it that shows Kirk tickling himself and laughing to death, and it shows McCoy tickling himself and laughing himself to death.
Brutal.
And ironically, it shows Spock tickling himself and laughing to death. Spock does not laugh in this episode. I don't care what Uhura says. Spock doesn't laugh in this episode, let alone giggle in this episode.
Yeah, I will say I did enjoy the voice acting of the crew in this one.
Okay.
I thought they all sounded pretty good. Even, the Haggis is in the fire for sure, Scotty.
Yes.
I enjoyed all the voice actors. They all sounded close enough.
There you go. You know what? There is a difference, though. We get one Sulu line in this, and you probably are like me, and you didn't notice that it's not the same guy who's been acting as Sulu. I guess he wasn't in this one. The internet says that the voice for Sulu in this episode was done by the same guy who does Spock's voice. But it's like, "Aye, Captain." That's all he has to say. So it's like, yeah. So Black.
It'd be cool if he just went,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Black Sulu lives on in our hearts is what I'm saying. But here, you want to know what blew my mind, though? So Scotty at some point says when we see how we and Tiny, the happy Marpalouans are, Scotty says something about why he's smaller than my 10-year-old cousin. And I didn't remember that, and then I'm looking it up on there, and they're like, who they might have been referencing. It's not his cousin. Peter Preston. Maybe that's Peter Preston, because this would have been years before we meet Peter Preston, in Star Trek 2. So you never know. Yeah. I don't think the math works out, but it's close enough. I think it works out. Yeah. Sure.
How many years after the original series do we pretend like Star Trek 2 takes place? It's like 15,
it's supposed
right?
To be 15, right? So I think Peter Preston, if you go by the novelization, we did the podcast on the novelization of Star Trek 2. It feels like Peter Preston was supposed to be a teenager when he was in that. So you know what? This is an animated series. We will allow that. The episode did not make that claim, but I like the idea that somebody, when they're writing Star Trek 2, is like, hey, you know what Scotty mentioned in that one Peter Pan Records episode, his cousin. Why don't we write that guy? Why don't we make that guy into a character in the movie? And then when they write the novel, we'll give him like page after page.
Not only that, Butch, we're going to name him Peter as a little wink and a nod to Peter Pan Records.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Wow. I believe you just broke the internet, mister. Well done. All right, so here's what I have to say about this. So let's talk about episodes that this reminds me of. I think, we've had a lot of episodes where we have emotional vampires, right? So
yes.
What are our emotional vampire episodes? I'm thinking Red Jack, so that's Wolf in the Fold, right? Who's after like sucking life out of us by living on our fear.
Day of the Dove.
Day of the Dove is another one, which is right. That's a Beta 12 entity whose hate is what he's living off of.
And right? The children shall lead.
And the children shall lead. Exactly. So some fist pumping fury. I didn't even write that one down, so that's why I'm glad we do this. And then I was like, okay, so then let's talk about episodes where something makes our crew happy, and we just can't have that. Because that's what these are.
One.
Yeah, so that's the one I was thinking of, is This Side of Paradise, right? Got to solve that, and of course the apple, where it's like those aliens are nice and happy. They're feeding Val, and they're like, we can't have that.
Do you remember, Butch? Do you remember the chick from This Side of Paradise, Spock's girlfriend?
Yes, Layla Kalomi. Yes,
Layla. Kalomi. So I was watching Charlie Varick, which popped up on Netflix. I had watched half of it when it was about to leave Prime a month ago. And it's a Walter Matthau movie from the 70s that Don Siegel did in 1973 that has basically the whole cast of Dirty Harry and Walter Matthau.
Really?
Right, so Scorpio is in it. The black guy that's in all the Dirty Harry movies is in it. Stuff like that. Anyway, Layla is in it. John Vernon's in it. But Layla's in it. She's in a scene. She comes home. 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 comes home draws a bath, and it's Walter Matthau who's going to sleep with her, and that keeps us from seeing Layla. I thought for sure in the 1973 movie by Don Siegel I was going to see a getting in the tub scene. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
That has got to be the worst tease in the history of movies.
Instead, Walter Matthau won't get out the damn way. Yeah, by the way, I'm glad you mentioned Scorpio, because the actor who played Scorpio is an actor who was a recurring character on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He had like 30 appearances. He played the Cardassian tailor Garrick, who's actually a spy on there. Andrew Robinson, yeah, he had a big role. He's actually one of the most highly thought of Star Trek actors of all time. It's tremendous. We'll have to do. Speaking of when you have a few years off, you need to watch some stuff. We'll have to.
I do need to watch some Deep Space Nine. Yeah.
So So it's funny you mentioned that. So there's another Star Trek connection, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about, other than we went down that rabbit hole, which is just fine. So other things. So sometimes in Star Trek episodes, we needed the crew to elicit a particular emotional response in order to chase away an entity. So again, this side of paradise, we had to make people angry so that they'd fight. Oh yeah, you want to see just how fast we put you in hospital? I love that. And then Day of the Dove, it's like everybody laugh, come on, laugh, ha 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 ha, you're dead duck here, ha ha, yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. And so that's all feels like that when Kirk gets on and says, "All right, everybody, feel sad, go." It's like, what? Okay, that's fine. But you know what? What I'm saying is, I think he's borrowing from stuff that Star Trek has done a lot, right? But in this case, it's little bugs instead of some energy creature. For what it's worth, it's familiar as a Star Trek trope. How about it's so familiar? It's a trope, I think, right? So
yeah, I agree. But if you'd have told me, laughing fleas was going to be the subject of the premise of today's episode. Well,
well, in fairness, the fleas aren't laughing. The fleas are making them laugh.
That's a good point.
So that would be worse.
That's good.
Yeah, but I think if Rob and I, ladies and gentlemen, are listening, if Rob and I agree on anything on this episode, it's that it's always uncomfortable to have actors. Okay, now pretend to laugh in there. Oh, why am I laughing? Yeah. It's almost as bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, you and me are the listening audience, number one.
First,
Go ahead.
Well, it's almost as bad as, hey Spock, get the fuel consumption. What? Oh, bring that over. Am I right? So it feels like there's a theme to these episodes. Plus, I'm gonna say, when our commissioner, counselor Nice Hauserick shows up, they have some weird tinkly music playing when he first is introduced. I was like, what's going on? It's like somebody had the play school xylophone out, and they're like, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Also, I don't know who came up with this bold choice for voice acting of the alien race, but that whiny, shrill cat getting, "Oh yes, Captain," or whatever the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, well, what they're doing is 1.5 tall aliens. That was definitely it. I'm just a 1.5 tall alien who's over here trying to just make people happy. Nice thoughts. All right, so that's enough of that. We should probably go ahead and talk about this episode, so we don't go way over the amount of time that the episode takes. So we open with Stardate 5468.2, which puts us somewhere around Day of the Dove, I think. Speaking of that, so they should hopefully have recent memory of that. So there's a request from a recently discovered civilization, Marpalou, as I said, to be an associate member of the Federation. So they are dispatched to consider final processing of their application. Spock says no one has ever met a Marpaplan, but they're supposedly friendly. And then, so that's all we have time for. And now they arrived. So basically, we're joining them right as they're parking the car outside. So that's
like a piece of the action, right? Oh, I heard they're very imitative.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Cool.
That's all we need to know. The one adjective and go. Okay, so we beam one of the representatives aboard. It says they're pretty small. And then he says 10,000 happy thoughts to you. So that's a nice greeting. I like how he starts saying 1,000. He's like, no, 10,000. Maybe it's a translation error. I'm not sure. Or it's either that or it's a metric system, and I don't know how that really translates. So
Yeah, do you know what I was saying at this point in the episode, Butch?
What?
Give me the brandy.
That was definitely coming later. All right, so he's nice, Hoosrick. He says greetings. Spock tells Bones, hey, they are friendly, because now that he said hello, Spock, this is what I'll say, Spock says, clearly we've heard correctly. They're friendly. That's right, so that's great. And then,
sounds good, Captain. Go ahead and let him into the Federation. Like, what? That's your analysis?
Well, it is. He says they should make good Federation citizens. He literally goes there. So it's like, and again, I think that they don't change their minds on that during this episode. I think Spock's correct. So
it shows the importance of a first impression. I'll give you that in the 23rd century.
Right.
Holy mackerel.
So
Your race can...
I'm just saying, if there's a Federation envoys coming to see if you're in the Federation, wear a goddamn tie. Put some effort into it. Brush your teeth, comb your hair, wear a tie, firm handshake. That's all I'm saying. And some Fleavers. And that's really all you got to do. Okay. So Kirk welcomes him, gives him the tour. He's very impressed with the bridge. They take him right to the bridge. He says, you want to see what your planet looks like from our ship? And the guy's like, boy, would I? Boy, golly, would I?
I was getting Wrath of Khan vibes. Like, so how do I fire all the weapons and lower your shields? Oh, it's like this.
Yeah, you are in a position to demand nothing. That's how. It's just you're one step away from that. The wolf is always at the door, as Don Henley once said.
Hey, how does the captain's chair work? Because I was like, Jesus, Kirk, I know you're confident, but goddamn.
So here's my favorite part, and that's why I wish Jay was with us on this podcast, because he shows him around the bridge and he introduces him to Sulu and Uhura. And he says, are you a female of the species? And then he says, I am charmed beyond words, Uhura, she. And I was like, boom, pronouns. See, this is way ahead of its time. He's like, using, he asked for the pronoun, and when confirmed, he uses the pronoun. Look at him. That's 10,000 nice, 10,000 happinesses right there.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I can't.
I just think it was so obvious that it's like in 1975 nobody's thinking that, but it's become the world now. So, or at least some of our worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah,
That's why I thought that was funny. And then he asks how the controls work on the chair. Kirk starts telling him, "Well, here's the button I push when I accidentally jettison Ben Finney out." And then he starts laughing. And who wouldn't, right? Here's a funny story behind that Ben Finney. Hey, wait, I should probably have stopped laughing. Why am I still laughing? And they're like, he's over there. Why are you doing your? Speaking of Clint Eastwood movies, you should have mentioned Any Which Way But Loose, because he's doing the orangutan scratching his armpits and laughing, and he just can't stop.
Right turn, Clyde. All right, yeah.
And then I love it. Spock immediately is going, Captain, it's pretty bad form to be laughing in front of the envoy while we're trying to sell the Federation. These guys, button it up there, Captain. He basically dresses down his captain for laughing. This is not helping Kirk's opinion of this whole thing, by the way. But Kirk can't stop. And he can't keep a straight face. And then Bones notes that Kirk is also scratching his armpits. He says sides, and then all of a sudden now...
You heard that right, listeners. Listener. Kirk is scratching his armpits.
Hypothetical listener. Yes, Kirk is scratching his armpits and laughing. So that does paint a picture. Luckily, the artwork for this episode has painted the picture for us, and that's a picture on the cover of the artwork. Is Kirk tickling his armpits and laughing uncontrollably. So there you go. All right. So meanwhile, Scotty's on the comm from engineering. Apparently he's complaining because half of his crew, he's, first of all, Captain, what's the damn funny? And he's like, by the way, half of my crew down here is laughing, and then Scotty starts also laughing. And then ironically, Kirk tells him to get a hold of himself. And I was like, physician, heal thyself. Yeah. Captain Black calling the Captain Kettle Captain Pot is what I'm saying.
It was kind of evident flowing when I was listening to it. I was like, so they have it, they don't have it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It happened a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say they sort of give an explanation for that, because if you're really angry or depressed enough, then it kind of suppresses them or whatever. And then so yeah, I think
that's true.
And then if you're just a little bit not happy enough, then they start doing it to you.
Tickle you.
But if you're happy and you know it, then they don't. If you're happy and you know it, then they don't.
That makes sense.
I'm going to stop there. Yeah. But also, if you're really, 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 really unhappy, then they die. Okay. So anyway, Kirk he apologizes to Huzarek, and then he sees her as also laughing and scratching, and then she says, "I do have this particular crawly feeling," is what her phrasing is there. Bones.
Well, she's a linguist.
There you go. Right? Yeah, crawly feeling. That's exactly. Yeah.
So Butch, do you want to know why I wish we had Jay on this one?
Yes. I do. Did you want to hear about his new job? Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Star ticks, nothing but star ticks. Star ticks. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. Trust me. If you go back and listen to stuff that we did 4 years ago, it'd be a laugh right now. It'd be killing you. You'd be falling out of your chairs while listening to this right now if you've been listening for us for the last 4 years. Anyway, we're moving on. So, Bones asked the counselor, to come to the sick bay with him for an exam, and they're like, "You can't do that." But he's like, "Hey, I'm cool. I'll go. I'm Mr. My first name is nice. What am I going to say? No, of course I'll go." So I just want to help. So now we're in sick bay, which is always good. It's always good to go to sick bay because that way you can picture Bones in his short sleeves in sick bay as is correct, right, and proper.
Was I ever? Oh yeah.
So scans are showing that there's bugs in a microscope, and they look like fleas, but they're smaller, and apparently they're also tougher. He says, "Our most potent poisons don't even make them sleepy." I like how he's definitely drawn. Even make apostrophe EM sleepy is what I'm saying. Make him sleepy. That's what he says.
Make him.
Yep. And so then Hausenik says, I'm going to keep pronouncing his name wrong because he says, "Yeah, well, of course, so it's nice to know that you got your quota of Mijis, don't you?" And you're like, "Mijis? What are Mijis?" And then he has to explain, well, they're the little things that live on us that make us happy. And they're like, "Yeah, but they're kind of killing us." He's like, and as a response, he may not be familiar with all of our customs, but apparently he's familiar with Winnie the Pooh, because he's like, "Oh dear, oh dear." Actually, that's I'm sorry for those of you listening that made me think I was doing Winnie the Pooh. That is, of course, Piglet who would say that. Piglet from Winnie the Pooh says, "Oh dear, oh dear." Also, the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, I think. So.
Yeah, which we don't ever need to see again in Star Trek.
That's right, exactly. So, so Kirk explains that these things make you tickle rather than bite, but that doesn't mean they're not still dangerous. He explains that the Mijis, thrive on happiness. Does the counselor guy, right? So they make you happy so that they can feed on your happiness, and it's like for the aliens, it's like a symbiotic relationship. This is kind of another thing. I'm going to say I sort of dug what they're doing here with a science-y kind of a thing, right? So for the aliens and these Mijis, they have a symbiotic relationship with this, right? They said, well, we got them a long time ago. We couldn't get rid of them, so we just learned to live with them, right? And we adapted so that they get what they need from us. We get what we need from them. We don't ever have any wars. We don't ever, it keeps our civilization back a little bit. But on the other hand, we're very peaceful and we're very happy. And
no one's getting mugged on the way home from work.
That's right? Exactly right. So the problem is, of course, is that, so he says, if you just think happy thoughts, then they'll stop crawling. The less happy you are, they start crawling all over you, right? And it's the crawling that makes you itch and it makes you laugh, blah, blah, blah. I was assuming when I saw the picture that you're tickling your underarms and the tickling is what makes you laugh, which is weird. It's a well-known fact that you cannot tickle yourself. It's a well-known fact. And don't think I haven't tried. So
I also, when I heard that, I was like, wait a minute.
There you go. So Spock says that these are emotional parasites, which is interesting because I remember always talking about emotional vampires. All the aliens, the Beta 12 entity and Red Jack were always kind of talked like energy vampires, and these are these are emotional parasites, which is something similar. I mean, they're basically sucking it out of you. But these things,
I kind of miss the salt vampire. I'm not gonna lie.
well, lay your hands on me, as it were. Yes, salt vampire. That's a nice thing because you just take a pill. You just have salt pills at the ready, and you don't have to worry about the salt vampire. But anyway, the problem is they're contaminant off their host. They're all over the ship. Everybody has them, and the aliens can live with them, but humans apparently are going to have a hard time dealing with that.
Hey, Butch.
Yeah.
What do you think the Earth equivalent would be of a starship coming out to your planet to drop off salt pills?
The Amazon truck.
A battleship dropping your junk mail off. I mean, what?
No,
the hell?
it's a battleship bringing your order of cherry RC that you ordered on Amazon is what it is.
Oh yeah, well, that could be. We got to get through the Red Sea somehow.
That's exactly right. Well, I mean, it only has to bring it from Kentucky, but I wouldn't be surprised they're routing it through the Red Sea right now. So I guess the line I took from this is that even a well-meaning parasite is still a parasite. So that's an interesting way of thinking, I suppose. So,
and that's where we get that dirty, nasty riff from 1978's greatest guitar player, Ace Frehley.
Yes, parasite. Very nice.
Parasite.
Yep, that's a good callback. Also for our faithful listeners. That's right. So.
Hey, Butch, my boss asked me today, she goes, she's like 65 or something. She goes, I am interested in this podcast you do. And I said,
no, you're not.
I don't want anybody from work listening to my podcast.
You can play them some. You just have to pick and choose the episodes, but I'll let you listen. This one and only this one.
Yeah, she goes, well, you're putting it out there to the world. I said, technically we're putting it out there to the world. I think we have like 2 listeners in like 5 years.
Well, they're all our high school. They're all high school classmates of ours. So that's the whole thing. So nobody's listening. Hey, quit downselling our podcast here. We're changing the world, buddy. All right. So
I'm using reverse psychology, Butch.
Yes. So yeah. So it turns out, yeah. So this is where the counselor says, yeah, we don't have any wars. We don't have any crime. Spock, of course, is immune to this for whatever reason. We don't know. Probably because he doesn't have, he's like, there's no way in on Spock, right? Because there's no emotions there. He suppresses them. There's nothing that they can sense. And so they don't sense that he's unhappy because he's just not, you don't sense anything from him. So they don't crawl. They're on him, but they're not crawling around, right? So that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
So, and then at some point he's like, well, we tried them. There's just nothing you can do. They're too tough. So we learned to live with them. He says there's a couple of poisons strong enough, but they also kill the hosts. So, and then Bones will later say, yeah, you could use hydrochloric acid, and that would work. But I don't recommend. Maybe we could do something where we inject that internally. Maybe no, that's too soon. I'm sorry. So Scotty reports that the shifts, that his engineering shifts can't monitor the ship efficiently, and all of a sudden he's like, yeah, the ship were goners for sure. Lost, forever lost.
This was kind of fun. I don't usually like to think of Scotty as being so despondent, and when he's doing his duties. I like him to be, trying to save the day or whatever, not just like, oh, woe is me.
There is one time, as soon as they said he was despondent, the one time I remember him doing it, I think it's probably from the Paradise Syndrome, where they're in the path of the asteroid and they try the phasers and they burn out the engines. And I think he says, me bairns, me poor bairns. And I was like, that's the Scotty that's the despondent Scotty. It happens. When you burn out the engines and we're going to need a dry dock to fix them, that's when Scotty gets like this. So that's what I was picturing.
You know what that leads to? You know what that gets you, Butch? You're just one step away from dead whores at that point. Am I wrong?
That's exactly right. Well, they're dancing girls for sure. You might be wrong on the horse thing. I don't know if she was a whore. I know she was a dancing girl. Yeah.
Private dances for money.
That's right. She'll do what you want. She'll do what you want her to do. That's right. I think that's how that lyric goes. So Bones' line is, "How do you fight a microscopic joke?" I'm sure there's a double meaning for this
That was a
episode here
microscopic
somewhere.
joke.
Yeah, exactly. Spock says that Scotty, and Spock's like, hey, did you notice Scotty's not laughing and or scratching anymore? Like, huh. So Bones takes a skin sample. Scotty is on the verge of crying, and then Bones concludes, maybe a bit of a leap of logic here, that anger or sadness can kill the Meegees. And he said he starved them to death from lack of laughter, is what it was. See, he starved a Fleaver. See, there it is.
Still not done with the flavor.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I can see they're trying to, like, it's like how Star Trek the original series especially, would always use these highfalutin literary terms that none of their listeners were ever going to get. But that's kind of what they're going for. So Kirk gets on the intercom. I love this. Kirk gets on the intercom. He's like, everyone's directed to think nothing but unhappy thoughts. That's an order.
But the
thing is, he's done that. He's done that in other shows.
In a show that is built largely on method acting, this is the ultimate extension of that.
Yeah, agreed. So anyway, presumably everybody does that. And as a result, so I'm like, think of the sadness and family, childhood trauma, whatever. And soon Scotty and Bones are sobbing. It works pretty fast. They try to get only happy thoughts from the Marpalou or whatever. And so that's how they live. So without the happy thoughts, they can't live, or I guess. Yeah, go ahead.
So, that for all her good qualities, Mrs. Madness has one fatal flaw, which is she hates Star Trek, right?
I do. I'm aware of that, yes.
So, and I do appreciate that you still talk to her. That's important. But, so I'm listening to this episode tonight with her in the room. And, for someone who I'm consistently trying to convince to give Star Trek a try, this is the crap she's listening to. And she goes, hey, honey, I hate to say this, but you and your friend are nerds. And I was like, what did I couldn't rebut that at all.
Dateline Bellingham. This just in. Starfleet News Service reports Rob and Butch are nerds. Film at 11. All right. Yeah. Well, that's news we didn't need because we already knew it. That's cool. All right.
Yeah.
So,
but I think this. What I'm saying is, I think this record set Star Trek back another 10 years with her.
Well, so I will say this. I think there were multiple different versions of audio on here. The version I listened to. So anyway, the treaty's signed. Bone jokes about infectious humor. Ha ha ha. Spock. They talk about Spock's lack of being receptive to it. He's like, is it so surprising the superior system is immune? Uhura says then, I heard you giggle. And Spock says, nah, you didn't. She says, yes, I did. He's like, no. Anyway, and then the episode ends. Now, when you were listening, did the episode end with that big trumpet fanfare from Piece of the Action? That one? Because that's a perfect end.
Yeah, I don't remember if it did or not. Well, it was ending with me groaning.
There you go. All right, so I will say that's like So or her going, yes, you did in this spot. Going, no, I didn't. For the last 30
Spock
seconds.
Was gonna, I was hearing the one I listened to ended with "smack my bitch up" because Spock was not taken too kindly to that accusation by her. He's like, the hell I did, woman.
She's like, yeah, you just wait. In an alternate timeline, we're going to be a thing. And then I'm going to dump you, and then and I'll be laughing. So anyway, so that's the end of the episode. Is it safe to say that we have different thoughts on this episode? So I thought that the connections to it being a Star Trek-y episode were pretty good. I think it's the right choice, where they made the total wrong choice of Spock believing in magic last week. Spock is correctly immune this week, which is good. I think that's important. I like what they did with Scotty. I think Bones is once again kind of the thing, I think this isn't peak Scotty for the series, and it's not peak Bones, but it's I can't help but think it's better than last week's episode.
Well, here's the thing. Last week's episode was utterly ridiculous.
Yes.
And I was certain nothing was going to touch it the rest of the series.
I know. I remember you saying that.
Yeah. And I think this is the weakest Bones episode of the 5 we've done.
He doesn't solve the problem at all. That's true.
Well, I mean, he's not fun either. He's fun in the other ones.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I enjoyed the episode and The Children Shall Lead way more than I enjoyed this episode.
Well, in fairness, Rob did not have In the Children Shall Lead the lowest episode on his Star Trek rankings. It was second.
What did I have lowest?
You had Assignment Earth as your lowest episode. So is this Assignment Earth level? I mean, it doesn't have Roberta Lincoln in it. I'll give you that. So probably.
Another thing wrong with Assignment Earth is they have like a Playboy bunny in the show for like 3 seconds. Yes, what the hell are they doing?
Well, she's a Catwoman. In season 2, they were really into Catwoman in season 2, dude. I'm like,
where the hell was Roddenberry? Was he like on vacation?
He was. He totally was. I mean, he was. That's the whole thing. I think he was on vacation because when he came back from vacation, they were just starting to film The Trouble with Tribbles. So he very well may have been on vacation. So, but who wasn't on vacation is the casting director. That's who wasn't on vacation, baby. So anyway, so listen.
Nice work.
So listen,
I did not enjoy this at all. I thought it was really annoying with the laughing. It was. So he's taken the worst part of the first episode we did, which just the meow cat, hey meow, and one up in it. What's a more annoying sound than that? I know. The annoying laughter in this little alien voice. And then, I don't know, space fleas. He should have just taken a step back and go, what am I writing about? Space fleas. I just was like, this is stupid. I'm not enjoying it.
Space fleas.
So I'm gonna say we have a new champion for worst one. I've got this at the bottom. Worse than last week's complete nonsense.
Ooh, I have this third. So, as you know, we've had now 2 weird-voiced, kind of why are they there aliens in episodes. The guy from In Vino Veritas, I think is the same guy, but more annoying. And so I think that the alien in this is I have the alien in this ranked above that. So I put this above that, which means this is third. So I go Time Stealer at 5, In Vino Veritas at 4, Fleaver at 3. Fleaver and Threaver rhyme. So Passage to Moab at 2, and then, of course, The Crier and Emptiness, which I will be shocked if they beat that episode in this series.
Yeah, that was a good one. So I'll give you the correct order, though, Butch. Okay. This one, To Starve a Fleaver at 5.
Yes.
Time Stealer at 4.
Yes.
Passage to Moab at 3. In Vino Veritas at 2. And then miles ahead of any of these. The Crier and Emptiness.
All right. Well, so that's great. It's nice that we don't always agree, right? So
yeah, because I think we were pretty close on otherwise before that.
Exactly. So next week we're going to have yet another episode. This one with a comic attached. Another one by Alan Dean Foster, and it's an episode that I don't know what we're going to get out of this. It is titled "A Mirror to Futility." Rob's like, yeah, so I thought that's what this episode was. Was a mirror to futility. A mirror to fleetility, as Rob said this one was. Yeah. So.
They should have called it When Hell Flees Is Over. I don't know. They should have...
Yes.
I don't know.
All right. Well, let us...
I enjoyed the FaceTime with Jay's taint more than I enjoyed this audiobook.
Wow. Oh, okay. Well, that's a ring endorsement of ever. All right, so that's all we have for you this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us, as always, on our Peter Pan Records Cavalcade of Stars. Next week, we will take you...
Peter Preston, you got it here first.
That's right. Breaking news here on the Cinema Call podcast. And we will see you on our next Short Trek.